Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, March 18, 2026. So we start off with Philip and Gabby. So remember, Philip was confiding in Gabby about his role in Titan going under and the fact that he, along with Vivian, caused the rift financially between him and his brother, and messed up their relationship, and he roped in a lot of people, Maggie, Sarah, and eventually his brother, and his brother had to keep quiet so that Titan initially didn't go under. But because Tony found out about it, which he didn't really know how he did, but he found out about it, and that's what undid the merger, and that's why they're struggling financially. Now we already know Gabby knows everything about this, but she is guilty, and it's eating at her because Philip is talking about how he wanted to really uphold his father's legacy with the company, and he just feels bad that it could go down because of his misdeeds. Now Gabby was about to tell him, or I think she was about to tell him, but then Ari comes over and she is upset, and of course Mama Bear has to pop out and she has to tend to what's going on with her daughter, and Philip gave them that time. Now, am I the only one that really didn't care about Ari sobbing over nonsense like this? Because it was just really a waste of a scene to me. I get that she's upset, and she and Holly go way back in terms of friendship, but the sobbing and everything, I just didn't have any sympathy for it. But anyways, Gabby does comfort her, and she said everything is all over the place. She thinks she lost her best friend. She's crying like her puppy died or something. But yeah, she is visibly upset about it, and she explained that she went to the dorm room. Holly's still upset the fact that Ari actually, took up the offer to go to the sorority thing, and she just wished that Ari would have turned it down as a real friend, which I think that was just bogus of Holly to do. But Ari said that she finally stood her ground. She was tired of doing the high road, and she did what she had to do and tell Holly that, look, it can't work out this way. We can't be friends if this is like this. And Holly offered to move out. So now she is without her roommate, but she feel like she did the bad thing or the wrong thing, and Gabby's like, no, you did the right thing to protect your peace, regardless if it's Holly and anybody else. And I agree with her, because sometimes people, you shouldn't walk around eggshells to please people just because they're your friend or they're your significant other or a family member. At the end of the day, your peace is what matters the most. So if somebody is upset with you because you did what was good for you, then screw them. Screw them. Tell them to go to hell, honestly. But anyways, Ari felt better after talking to her mom, and she left, and Philip came over, and he was overhearing everything and commending her for standing her ground, being feisty. And Gabby was trying to be flirty with him, but then he said, hey, what were you talking about that you need to tell me? So she said, it's nothing important. So he said, I thought you were going to break up with me. She said, no, I mean, everybody makes mistakes, and I really don't want to talk no more about corporate ethics and all of that. So he said, all right, let's go somewhere, let's have something real cozy. And yeah, that was really it. But I'm just saying, Gabby, girl, I like that you and Philip are together, but come on now, this is just gonna go kaplunk, because again, you're not being honest with him. And Philip is even saying, let's not have any secrets between us, right? He is saying that we have a good thing going, and I'm just saying Gabby's gonna mess this whole thing up. Now moving forward, Theo and JJ, they were at the pub, and Roman gave them some spritzers, green spritzers, inspired of Patrick's Day, and also the fact that they helped with Stephanie's rescue. And I'm just saying how, because they didn't directly do nothing. If it wasn't for Brady's one brain cell, they wouldn't have known where to look for Stephanie, or even who was responsible for kidnapping Stephanie. But anyways, right, so him and JJ, they were talking, and JJ is just glad that they are back as being friends, and that he forgave him for all those years ago of shooting him. And Theo is saying that he has been hard on him, and he, just wants to forget about past and move forward. And they cheers to just, rekindling their friendship. Now, at some point, they're talking, and Theo sees Liam over there because he went to the pub, minding his own business. And the sniper, whoever he is, Claus, he's there in the background watching him because he wants to eliminate him. He did get a call from somebody back in Alemania, Renata, who told him that, Vivian and Ivan are missing. So they have some code red going on there. Now, back to Liam and Theo. Theo went over there, and I think he did the, he took the high road and he did the classiest confrontation I have ever seen on Days, because normally somebody is responsible for your downfall or responsible for kidnapping you and all of that. I would think that he would go over and punch him, but Theo did the classiest thing ever, which is to sit down and tell him that, hey, I heard about everything that you've done. You're a former classmate of mine and I remember you, right? And I'm saying, I'm not upset with you that you did it for the money and you did it for your son, but I'm just saying you should have had the decency to report it to the authorities. You knew who my family members were. You connected the dots later on. You could have done something, contact the authorities. You had two choices: contact the authorities or just let it go over, and you know which option you chose. Now Liam is trying to explain himself and he's apologizing that he didn't mean to do this and all that. He thought he was just stocking up the crypt in case of a disaster, which I just know it don't make no sense. But anyways, let's roll with it. But he does say to Theo he's trying to apologize, but Theo said, you know what, just do better for your son. And I think that's the best way to end this thing. Just do better for your son. Do better. Now, Belle comes in to, of course, antagonize EJ, because we know that's how Belle rolls. EJ was trying to get on the phone with Rita. He wasn't getting through because he got his one phone call, and she's saying, even your one henchwoman is not responding to you. I mean, you wasted your whole phone call. And he said, I'm an attorney myself. I can represent myself, and I know that the charges you have on me is bogus because I had no connection to Stephanie's kidnapping. I had no correlation to that. So she said, yes, Owen confirmed that, and also Stephanie and Jeremy. However, we need to talk about your involvement in the lab and who you are stashing away in the pod, or who you're going to put in the pod, because that probably is involuntary human scientific research, and also the electricity usage. And of course, EJ is scoffing at this whole thing, and he's saying, like, at the end of the day, what I do in my private lab, which is funded by private money, is none of you or the FBI or anybody's business for that matter, and you don't have anything to hold me. So she's saying, yes, but at the same time, maybe I can help you out so that you don't end up in federal prison. Like, if you live with me, tell me what's going on with that pod, then maybe I can help you. But he doesn't believe her at all, and he's saying, you just really don't like me, you just hate me, right? So she said, I despise you, but at the same time, I can't hold you here on no charges, so you may free to be going. So she's saying, like, okay, but I will definitely make sure I put the cuffs on you soon enough. So he was smirking, but then it just turned into a frown. But I'm just saying, they just put him down there unnecessarily, because for one thing, they didn't have the proper evidence or anything. Rafe just wanted to stick it to him, and that's just my story on that. Now, later on, Ari went to the pub and she, saw Leah, but then she spoke to Theo and JJ. She catch up with them. She thanked them for what they did with Stephanie's rescue, congratulate them, which I really don't think they deserve any. But anyways, she congratulated them, and she also congratulated Theo to coming back to the mirror. And, he talks briefly about him and Johnny transitioning and all that. Also, she spoke to her great-grandfather, tell him briefly about what's going on with Holly, and said, do you want me to be a mediator? She said, no, it will resolve itself. Either we're going to work it out or we're not. It is what it is. So she goes over to Liam, and of course, they're blushing and they're smiling with each other, catching up. And then JJ comes over, it's not my place, but you should be aware of this guy. He has a bad reputation. So he leaves, and she said, that's just my cousin JJ. He's a cop. And, she was talking about how she's related to Rome and the bartender, and he's surprised at all the relations and her strong police presence in her family. And she said, look, everybody in this town have been to a jail cell one way or the other, including my mom. So who am I to judge? I'm not looking at your past, I'm looking at your present and future. So of course she still wants to be into him. I mean, how Ari likes them bad boys. Now back to Leo and Dimitri. Remember, they were talking about how Gwen is gonna feel, and then there was an attack out on them, and Dimitri was the one who shielded Leo, and Leo, he was, I guess, unconscious for a bit. He was dazed and confused when he got up, and he's like, what really happened? So Dimitri says, somebody's out to get us. So at some point, there's a knock at the door, and it's Andrew. So Andrew was the one who took down the sniper, and he, Dimitri thanked him, but he said, we didn't really do it for you. We were trailing you guys, and we happened to see that, and that's how we were able to take him down. So he said, did you get to go to the estate? Because remember, Dimitri talked about the plan of using the ISA to really exonerate him. So Paul and Andrew, they were able to go to the estate. They were able to comb down the place for Dimitri's fingerprints. Turned out it was there. They're still waiting on DNA testing. So Dimitri's like, okay, so that means that I'm off the hook. So he said, not really quite. And Leo is talking about how we'll be able to go back to Salem free. And Andrew's like, no, because Vivian and Ivan are missing, and you might be the likely suspect. So now it continues. Here we go. But yeah, that is it, guys. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.